Okay, imagine this. You hear a public service announcement. You're probably thinking smoke detectors, maybe seatbelts.
Right. The usual stuff.
But no, this one's about wild hogs. And get this, in Michigan.
Yeah, it's definitely not what you'd expect. But that announcement, it actually points to something, well, pretty serious. It's not just some local quirk. It signals a real ecological and even a health crisis. It's kind of unfolding, almost hidden in plain sight.
Exactly. So today we're going to dig into that. We're doing a deep dive on wild hogs, feral swine, as they're also called, specifically looking at the situation in Michigan. And our main source here is essentially that public service announcement, which is surprisingly blunt about how bad things are.
It really doesn't mince words.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to figure out why. Why are these animals seen as such a huge danger? What specific threats are we talking about? And what's Michigan doing about it? Because their response is quite direct.
Very direct.
Usually when we talk about wildlife management, it's about conservation, maybe balancing populations.
Sure, finding that equilibrium.
But with wild hogs in Michigan, the conversation is totally different. They're flat out labeled a severe problem. It leads to this really aggressive stance from the state, which makes you ask, what makes these animals so uniquely dangerous?
Well, I think number one, without a doubt, is their role as disease carriers. It's honestly quite alarming.
Okay.
You have one animal acting like a sort of biological time bomb. They carry this cocktail of really nasty pathogens.
Like what?
We're talking about serious stuff. African swine fever that can just wipe out entire pig populations on farms. Foot and mouth disease, another huge threat to livestock.
Wow.
And it doesn't stop there. Pseudorabies, brucellosis, even tuberculosis. And the scary part is these can potentially sicken pets. Livestock, cattle, sheep, and also native wildlife.
So it's a threat across the board, really, not just farming.
Exactly. These hogs are essentially silent spreaders. It's a fundamental challenge to public health, animal health, and, a serious risk to the agricultural economy in Michigan. It's fascinating how one species can carry such a diverse and dangerous load.
Yeah, fascinating and pretty terrifying. But it's not just the invisible threat, the diseases they carry, right? Their physical impact is also significant.
Oh, absolutely. It's devastating. They aren't just a health risk. They're like little bulldozers of destruction.
Right.
They tear up farmland, destroying valuable crops. They root through sensitive natural areas like wetlands or forests, damaging native plants. They'll even tear up people's lawns and gardens. The economic cost and the ecological cost, it's hard to really overstate it.
And it's not just rooting, is it? I read something quite startling about their diet.
You probably did. And this is the part that often shocks people. They're omnivores, but they have a predatory side that's particularly damaging. They actively prey on ground-nesting birds. Think grouse, turkeys, things like that. They eat their eggs, their young,
Yeah.
and even fawns, newborn deer.
Fawns. Seriously.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So this isn't just, a nuisance digging up some dirt. It's a direct hit to biodiversity. It disrupts the whole local ecosystem in ways that are incredibly hard to fix once these populations get established. It really makes you think about how fragile that balance is.
Wow. Okay. So you've got disease transmission, massive environmental damage, predation on native wildlife.
Yeah,
It paints a pretty grim picture.
it does.
So faced with all that, Michigan's response. It starts to make more sense why it's so strong. They've taken a really bold, really direct approach.
Yeah, this is a situation where they're thinking about trapping and relocating a few problem animals. The scale is different.
So what is the official stance?
Well, that public service announcement makes it crystal clear. In Michigan, it is explicitly legal to shoot wild hogs.
Okay.
Anytime, anywhere. Pretty much on public land where hunting is allowed, or on private land with permission. And here's the kicker. There is absolutely no limit.
No limit at all?
None. You can shoot as many as you encounter. And that unrestricted approach, that really tells you everything about the perceived scale and urgency of this threat.
Yeah, it sends a strong message.
It's a dramatic step, for sure, but it's framed as absolutely necessary to try and mitigate these huge risks we've been talking about, preventing disease outbreaks, protecting the environment, safeguarding agriculture.
So wrapping this up then, our deep dive into Michigan's wild hog problem, it reveals something much more complex than you might first think.
Definitely.
These aren't just pigs running wild. They're vectors for serious diseases. We mentioned African swine fever, TB, things that hit farms, pets, wildlife.
Right. Big economic and health impacts.
And they cause huge physical damage, tearing up land, crops, natural areas, and even preying directly on native species like birds and fawns.
That predation aspect is really key to the ecological damage.
And Michigan's answer is, well, blunt. Shoot them, on sight, no limits.
It's a stark policy, reflecting a stark reality. And understanding this specific case, it's not just about Michigan or hogs.
How so?
Well, it's a really powerful example of broader issues in ecological management, invasive species, and public health. It shows how quickly a situation like this can escalate and have ripple effects that touch, well, pretty much all of us in some way.
That's a great point. So when you think about how fast an invasive species like the wild hog can just completely change an ecosystem, how it impacts everything from someone's pet potentially getting sick, to the food supply, to the deer population, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it, about this ongoing dance between what we do, human activity, and the natural world. What does it actually take to get that balance back once something like this disrupts it so badly?